week 1, June 23rd to June 28th, new NEW 5 special cases guided video tutorial. So special cases are different than a lot of the other stuff because I don't really rely on memorization for a lot of stuff because memorization is fickle. You memorize, you cram, you rely on tricks or tips or acronyms or mnemonic devices, which are all fine and good. I'm not knocking them, don't get me wrong. But what tends to happen is you forget, you don't use it, you lose it kind of thing. There are things that I memorize when I use it, when I'm teaching it, and then that's usually the stuff that I have to look up the next year after I haven't used it for a year, or when I don't teach a course. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just you're not learning the whys or learning the hows. So special cases is one of those things that it is more of a memorization thing because these are kind of the unique or the quirky cases that don't always often come up. So looking at the special cases of how to graph lines, there's 2 questions that you need to ask yourselves. What axis does it go through and where? Okay, so what axis does it go through? You have 2 answers, the X or the Y. Okay, and those are your only 2 options because those are your only 2 axes. Where is the number? Okay, so what axis does it go through and where? Now, what axis does it go through? My question for that is which axis is it slicing? So which axis is it cutting? So if we look at this, all right, y equals 3. What axis is it go through? It goes through the y. And where does it happen? At 3. Now, notice I said what axis does it go through? What axis does it slice? What axis does it cut? So even though I highlighted the up and down axis, it actually is the line that cuts it through that point. It's the line that cuts that axis at that point. So your answer is the green line with the arrows at the end of it, the horizontal line going through the y-axis at that point. Okay, so number 2, what axis does it go through? All right, it goes through the X. Where does it go through it? At -2, which means it looks like that. And you're done. Number 3. What axis does it go through? The X. Where? At 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what does it look like? That. Because it slices through the X at 4. Number 4. What axis does it go through? The Y. Where? -1, which is down 1. So what does that mean it looks like? It slices through that axis at that point. So here we have to do a little bit of work. You have to get X alone or you have to get Y alone. You can't have a number attached. So the way we get X alone here, Baby River, we divide both sides by 4. and you get x equals 5. So now you can ask your question, what axis does it go through? The x. Where does it go through it? At 5, positive. What does that look like? Well, it slices it just like that. So it's a vertical line at x equals 5. Similarly, number 6, we can't have that -8 attached to the y. We're going to divide both sides by -8. We're going to get y equals +3 because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. What axis does it slice through? The y. Where does it happen? +3. What does that look like? A horizontal line slicing through the y-axis at +3. So if you look, a couple things to notice, okay? Special cases will happen when you have x equals a number or y equals a number. So you only have one variable. X equals a number will be a vertical line, while y equals a number will be a horizontal line. But again, that's relying really on memorization, whereas, again, asking yourself those two questions. What axis does it go through, x or y? Where? The number. Remembering that it slices through that axis at that point is more relying on understanding what's happening. Try some, see what happens, let me know, and I'll see you soon.